Thank you for joining us for this episode of our Ocean View podcast. Today, we are joined by Jim and Jacquie Vegh, and they are going to be talking with us a little bit about blended families.
Welcome to the Ocean View podcast, where we dive below the surface into tensions each of us face, navigating life, faith, and relationships.
Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
We're so
Tori.
excited. I'm excited to hear a little bit more about your story and then just kind of dig into this topic. We have several blended families currently, and so that was one of the requests that they had was, hey, do a podcast on, blended families. And I was like, I know the couple. So you guys work so you were explaining to me offline, but you are missionaries with Campus Crusade or Cru.
Yes.
So why don't you explain a little bit about what does that mean?
Well, Campus Crusade is a worldwide organization. Within the U.S., division is known as Cru, and there are many ministries underneath Cru. We are assigned as part of Family Life, which is a ministry that was born out of a need to reach and help and encourage the missionaries that were on campus with marital resources. And that happened roughly 50 years ago. This year is the 50th anniversary of Family Life that we're celebrating. And there are many resources that are produced between podcasts and books and Bible studies. And one of the famous ones, most known, is the Weekend to Remember.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And there's a cruise, Love Like You Mean It, that's over Valentine's weekend. And we are assigned to Family Life, and we look right here in the Myrtle Beach area.
Okay.
Reaching blended families, and also I'm an event planner for Weekend to Remember, and so I travel around the country putting together those events, and we'll be here in Myrtle Beach in February this coming year.
Nice. So most of us, when we think of missionaries, you think of overseas, but you guys are missionaries to the U.S. So
Yes.
what does that look like?
We're local, so we're here in Myrtle Beach. We also do online missions. So we work with stepmoms online, blended families online. We do studies, Bible studies and resources. We do one-on-one counseling. We do mentoring. We meet people in person. And our focus really is this area.
Okay.
And then Jim's Weekend to Remember efforts.
Well, one of the things also, we work with local churches to find local leaders to help encourage them to grow into a ministry of providing marital resources or step family resources, and encouraging local churches to go along and meet their needs, to meet the needs of the people they are shepherding.
That's awesome. So by missionaries, you are basically raising your support.
We
Correct?
do.
Okay. Yeah. That's amazing. I mean, I feel like not a lot of people know that we have missionaries here in the U.S.,
Yeah, we get that question a lot.
Yeah.
Because they think, missionaries, where are you going?
Yeah. No, here.
And what is really wild is along the way, you just see how God works and provides every step of the way. And it is just, it's an honor to have a front row seat to watch God work along the way. And it's, I'm speechless over it. God's amazing.
So before we dive in, what is the most amazing thing you feel like you've seen God do?
Oh, my
Like pick
goodness.
one. I know, pick one.
Pick one.
There's just like astounding. Was there a moment you were like shocked?
I mean, along the way, everything that happens is, from the support raising, how he provides our needs, and when someone has to drop off, someone else comes along, and it's just amazing. But even just a little example, this past weekend I was in Birmingham for the Weekend to Remember, and I had a request in for some extra tablecloths within the ballroom, and we put some around our tripods and whatnot to make things look good, and we put one on a table on the stage. And so we needed 9. And the guy came along and asked how many I needed. And I said 9. He's like, well, I have 10. Here you go. I'm like, okay, well, what's the one needed? Well, when the speaker came, he requested to have an extra table on stage for his props and whatnot. So God already provided that tablecloth for that. And it was just like, okay, here it is. And there are moments when people just come along when you need them, that it's like, oh, I have this problem. Oh, you're right there. You helped my problem right there. God paves the way.
Hmm.
And it's just absolutely amazing to watch God work.
That's
I
really
think,
cool.
yeah, as we talk about examples like that, I'm like, God just speak to us. He speaks to us in the way that we need.
Hmm.
And I feel like personally, I just need that little bit of encouragement, those tiny little things that he does. And
Yeah.
to be able to recognize it, it has been just amazing.
Yeah. I feel like it's those little details, like what you're saying. You're waiting for the wow moments, but those are the wow moments because he's caring about every little tiny step and, like you're saying, making the way for something to happen. It's just amazing and humbling, really.
Right.
But
Absolutely.
I feel like we just walked through experiencing God, and the thing that makes me think of is that one of our responsibilities is also to be looking for it. Do you know what I mean? To realize that he's actually doing that. And I feel like the more you look for him to act, the more you see it. So what an amazing privilege.
Yeah, that is definitely one of the areas when you're looking at how glorious God is. And we had a conversation this weekend over that, about how we God provides the little small things, and how we overlook that, and we get into autopilot
Yes.
and move through life on autopilot, not recognizing all the things and being mindful. And trying to think of what the verse was. It was 1 Corinthians 10:31, I think we were on, where and he's talking about whether you eat or drink or whatever you do it to the glory of God. And it's just those mundane things, even of eating and drinking and driving to work, and picking up something off the grocery store and whatnot, that everything is for God's glory.
Yeah.
And that is just it just blows you away to sit there and try to be mindful of all of that. When we do that, that's what we do as an act of worship.
Yes.
And whatever we're doing, we're worshiping something.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah.
That's amazing. Well, and again, humbling that he cares about just the little details of our lives, like 10 tablecloths, like it's just really cool.
A little broken piece, you're walking out and there's somebody who could fix it.
Yes.
Showing up right there.
Yep.
That happened.
Yep.
Just all the little things,
That's
oh, I
amazing.
need this, and there it is.
Yep. It's so cool.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about you guys. Your ministry right now currently is primarily blended families. How did that start?
So we were married before,
Okay.
and we divorced. We each had 2 children in those marriages, and joined individually a single parent Bible study. And so we met at a Bible study, which is so funny sometimes when you think about it. But we just started to get to know one another in that study with other single parents, and realized, we liked each other, and we spent time getting to know one another, and then we started spending time outside the group. And our children were 7 to 11.
Oh, wow.
At the time. And so that was in 2008-ish, 2007, 2008. And then when we decided to marry in 2009, we had Allison and Sarah and Kenny and Nikki. And we thought we had done everything right. We had premarital counseling, like traditional premarital counseling. We didn't live together prior. We moved in the day of the wedding.
Yep.
And we, the children were getting along. The other parents were getting along, because we each had our our exes were involved and were there. That's not always the case. And we said, I do. And the wheels fell off.
Yeah. And well, I mean, from that standpoint, we thought, everything is going smoothly. Everything's perfect. We're going to have that dream family that we wanted. We wanted to show our kids a godly marriage. And, we didn't do it right the first time. And we were saved through our circumstances, through our divorces. And we're like, this is going to be it the right way. And Jacquie is very, very good at finding groups. And when we were in Central Maryland, where we were living, she found this group, but it was only one church in all of those hundreds of thousands of people in all of those churches. that it was a 45-minute drive.
And they were actually ministering to blended families. So it was
Wow.
really hard to find
Yeah.
a group.
So yeah, I mean,
Okay.
when we got together, we're like, hey, this is great.
Yeah. So what was harder? Like what was harder than you expected? Obviously it sounds like everything, but what what specifically was
I think you don't really realize the complexities
yeah.
of blending.
Right.
Yeah.
I think the biggest things for us were the co-parenting issues.
Yes, absolutely.
Within our home, because we had done things differently as a single parent each for 6-7 years.
Yeah.
And then the parenting across the homes and trying to co-parent with somebody that we already lived with and tried to work with. And
Yeah.
here we are separate and trying to figure things out for the benefit of the children.
Right.
I think those were the big ones.
Those were the major ones, yes. And also, you know, we had those unexpected expectations because we went through premarital counseling that didn't touch on the blended family stuff.
No.
Wow.
So we didn't have any kind of idea of what we were walking into.
Mhm.
And then to be hit with all of those issues all at once, like, whoa, we you know,
We hear
really-
that a lot, really, actually, that
Yeah.
people are not prepared. People think they are. People, you know, hear things. They get advice that's not geared towards step families.
Yeah.
And, and within the first couple months, we said, whoa, did we make a mistake?
Yeah.
And that was a hard moment where you're really challenged with, we made a commitment and a covenant, and we're going to show our kids a godly marriage, but yet here we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So was there anything that surprised you in a good way?
Well, I would say, you know, there were things that we had these expectations that because the kids were getting along, things we'd meld together quickly. And around, you know, different parts of the season, we had glimmers of that hope that came in where, you know, one of our favorite memories is we were raking leaves in the fall, and we were all in the back as a family raking leaves and made a leaf pile, and we decided, okay, we're going to take a family picture, and we made like a nest out of it, and the kids got in the nest, and we got around, got the little tripod out and took a picture. And you know, it's a sweet picture and sweet memory of like, hey, this is what we have, this hope of everyone coming together. And even
we got snowed in one time.
Yeah.
I was a teacher, so you know, I had off, and the kids made an igloo, and we all got inside the igloo, and
the kids just had
it's
a great
just-
time
yeah.
playing together
Yeah.
outside, and those little moments where things are going great, like you have that glimmer of hope of like, yes, this is it. And
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of with the troubles that we have, that's what's surprising about it. That it's
Yeah.
like, okay, yeah, this is good.
Okay. So it's like it's like the little glimmers. Was there a moment where you were actually like, okay, yes, this is it. We've become a family. Like, was there a moment, or was it just constant little glimmers and it just kept getting more and more so that way?
Well, we learned that not everybody will blend.
Oh.
And I think the moment for me when I realized that was a moment that I happened to be, we were at an event, and Ron Deal, who writes kind of our biggest resource that we use, the Smart Step Family, he was talking about if you blend. And this was years after, like a decade after we married, and we're teaching people about blending and just, you know, all the things. And I was just, I was relieved in a way, because we never truly blended like we thought we would.
Okay. What does that mean? Not everybody will blend. Like, explain that.
Well, becoming a family and truly relating to one another as a loving family.
Okay.
Spending
You
time.
kind of have this vision of in a biological family where you know, you get together for the holidays, everyone comes together, the family, the kids are doing things as adults, you know, they're bringing their kids together, and you have nieces and nephews and all that fun stuff, and everyone comes together for different times of family time. And you know, some people just don't, that doesn't happen. That hasn't happened in us. But the one thing that I wanted to touch on is one of the things that we learned is, you know, there's the analogy that Ron uses is a crock pot. You know, everyone thinks of a blended family, blenders. We all come together and we instantly make a family. And it's the you know, just like a smoothie, you put it in a blender, everything gets chopped up, and it's all one thing. Whereas in a crock pot, there's individual ingredients that get put in, And it takes time and low heat, low pressure, and everything softens at its own pace.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have ingredients like a potato
Mm-hmm.
that softens quickly
Mm-hmm.
and joins in. And then you have ingredients like a carrot that, takes a
Mhm.
long time to
Mhm.
soften.
We had a carrot.
You
and
had
a carrot.
Sometimes I might wonder if they're a rock, but you just wonder if they're ever going to soften. And it doesn't matter the age of the children; they could be adult children. Everyone comes into the family at their own pace,
Mhm.
and keeps their identity
Mm.
and sort of makes that broth.
Yeah.
and you bring together your own flavors to form the family too.
Mhm.
So that's kind of the analogy, and it takes a typical blended family if you're going to blend. Don't want to be discouraging, but it's.
I know. I almost
I-
hate to say it.
This number
No, but you
shocked.
probably have a lot of people exhaling right now. So
This number shocked me when we first went through the study and we learned this. But the typical family takes 7 years to blend,
wow.
and so I'm sitting here going, okay, my oldest is 11, so she'll be 18 and moving on to college by the time we blend. Will we ever do? It's kind of
Yeah.
one of those moments where you sit there and go, wow, my expectations are just out the window now of
Yeah.
what's happening. But, it doesn't mean that it takes 7 years. It's not a hard, fast number. Some people gel faster and some take a lot longer. And you just need to be patient with it.
How do you find the balance of, I mean, feels overwhelming, and I'm sure that it is, finding the balance of giving grace to the ones that need more time while, like really becoming the unit with the others. Like, how do you find the balance of that?
Mm-hmm.
I think really that, like you said, it is grace. You have to have a lot of
Mhm.
patience and realize that everyone moves at their own pace,
Mhm.
and you can't force someone to join in.
Yeah.
And it's okay to meet people where they are and go at their pace. So as from the parenting standpoint, I mean, from the marriage standpoint, we're ready to go. Parents are just like, hey, we're married, we're getting married. And what we have to realize as parents, our children are always going to lag behind us. They're not at where the pace we are, no matter what stage of things are going on. They're not there.
Yeah.
So we have to slow down and realize they're not here. Let's figure out where they are and move at their pace and move toward them
Mm-hmm.
to bring them along, whatever. But it's
sometimes it's waiting for them,
yeah, and
Yeah.
the children set the
And
pace.
just accepting them. Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's their pace.
Which seems really, kind of crazy that, as the parent, you're like, I'm setting the standard, I'm moving the family, I'm shepherding this family, but at the same time, they're the ones setting the pace,
Mhm.
whether you like it or not, and you have to slow down and bring them in.
Can you give an example of that? Like
Yeah,
what that looks like?
So what I'm thinking of is, so I talk with a lot of stepmoms,
Mhm.
and there were a lot of emotions that went along with, coming together, especially for me. A lot of rejection feelings,
Yeah.
a lot of jealousy, which
Mhm.
sounds middle school, but
No, it's
it
real.
just comes
Yeah.
out. It's
Yeah.
real, yeah. And so I think of stepping back. And so you have to wait and just find the common ground with the stepchildren. In
Mhm.
my case, with stepdaughters, and Jim with my kids. Find the common ground and take them out to get their nails done. I don't love to get my nails done. Take them out to shop or to buy. Find out their love language
Mhm.
and see
That's good.
do they enjoy that? Do they just want to spend quality time? And another thing that was helpful was kind of a parallel activity where you're just sitting and you're focused on something,
Yes.
not on each other.
Yes.
I do. My personality is to sort of hit it head on,
Mm-hmm.
and that's not their way necessarily.
Mhm.
You want to just be together, spend time, take it slow, listen to their cues.
Yeah.
Right.
Even my
Um,
boys, I feel like our best conversations is driving because they don't
Th-
have to look at
there
me.
you go.
Exactly.
Yes.
Perfect example.
Yes.
Exactly. The driving in the car is
Yes.
a magical moment where,
Yeah.
you're not face to face, but you could talk and you're doing something else and you can relate. I mean, that's great parenting
Mhm.
right
Yeah,
there.
I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah. So, how do you protect your marriage while navigating all of this?
This is so key
Yeah.
because we kind of flipped the script on God's plan for marriage and children. And so the kids came first for us. And so we have those connections and those loyalties.
Yeah.
And we need to remember that the marriage is still the foundation. It's God's way. And so we just decided really early on that nobody leaves. That's all there is to it. We decided nobody leaves. And it was hard. And, but we had a comfort in that.
There is really, truly that comfort, like you mentioned, in knowing that no matter what happens, we're not giving up on each other. We're going to keep going. And, you know, at some point, it's just going to be me and you. The kids are going to grow up. They're going to move out. They're going to live their own life. And a lot of marriages focus on kids and whatnot. And then when the kids leave, they look at each other like they're strangers. So you have to have intentionality with date nights. And really in a blended family, squeezing that in can be difficult. But what does a date night look like? It may be, you know, we talked to someone who told their kids, Friday night from this hour to this hour is our date time. You guys go play in your room. You do whatever. Do not interrupt us between this hour and this hour. That's date night. Sitting down, having a cup of coffee or whatever in the morning, or sitting by the fire and talking, or playing a game, or whatever you do for that hour.
You really have to keep your marriage strong.
But it's intentionality.
It's intentional connection. And it looks, you know, different in different families with different people. Intentional connection.
Yeah, we had some time where with our custody arrangements where we had a day of the week where we didn't have kids. So
that
was
worked out for you guys.
That was okay, we're going out on this. And we had time where during holidays where our former spouses like to have the kids on 4th of July. So we were married in July. So we decided we're going to celebrate our anniversary on the 4th of July.
Great.
And so we would go out and have a little mini vacation away for that time.
Yeah.
You know, so it's finding those times to make sure that you keep yourself strong in a team. And you have to remember, you are a team. Work together as a team to solve problems. Don't fight each other over the problems.
Yeah.
And there is an understanding of my children came first. I have that biological connection, that loyalty to them.
Yeah.
And it's hard. It's a balance. A lot of blended family, you know, advice that we give is about balance. So knowing that the kids will have that loyalty to either their other parents or more to their biological parent, and then stepping in and talking about things, talking it through, so that we can then be a united front.
Yeah.
Being a united front is huge as well, because you're going to have differences. You're gonna want to approach things differently. You're gonna know your kid better, or you know, and you're gonna have those emotions that go along with being a step parent, especially a stepmom. And just knowing that that's going to happen and continuing to be intentional, having the conversations and spending time as a marriage.
So how do you maintain that united front if you disagree on parenting? Because you would think that would happen because you're coming in from two totally different sides.
It absolutely happens. And you need to talk about it in private, away from the kids, work out your disagreements on parenting there. And do it in a place where the kids can't overhear you.
Yeah.
You know, terrible mistake we made is we would go off and talk in our bedroom. But what we didn't realize was the air vent went down to my daughter's room and she could hear our conversation. And that,
oh gosh.
And
so
then,
you really need to find a private space.
So that's one of those things where, you know, when you think you're private and you're really airing out some of the things and working together, and especially when, you know, the biological parent is then going to deliver the message of correction or whatever to the child, and they hear the words of, you know, the other spouse coming out of your mouth, you know, that kind of puts some resentment and stuff and builds some problems. So it's critical to make sure you are private when discussing.
Funny thing, I'm connecting right now, funny, not funny, that the one who could hear us actually is the daughter that is estranged even to today.
Wow.
And that is very common as well, estrangement in your adult children as they grow up, which is again sad, but Sorry, I don't mean to be a.
Yeah.
It's just
God
hard.
softens hearts.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, he does.
We,
Yes,
we
so we
trust
do
that,
still
you know,
have hope
the
and prayer.
story's not over.
They're just an
written.
extra hard
Yes.
carrot.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
It's just gonna take
And,
a while.
and, you know, we never know what God's writing in our story because, you know, we're still on that journey along the way, like the Israelites wandering through the desert, and you're hoping you're going to land in that promised land at some point. And we don't know when we're going to get to cross over and go into that promised land,
Yeah.
or if we're going to be
Yeah.
allowed to go into it. But, you know, we have that hope of, you know, God's leading us. So,
Yeah.
and God will soften all hearts and move people.
How did you deal with discipline? Because was it the parent that was biological? Like, how did you navigate that?
Again, very important.
Yeah.
At first, we did it wrong.
Yes, we did.
And we thought we could come in, you know, what's common for a lot of men, you know, you will hear advice to men like, you're the head of the household. You
Yeah.
need to take charge and you need to set the rules. And well, guess what? When it's your stepchild,
Yeah.
you go at the pace of the relationship.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it's like coming into your neighbor's home and telling their kids what to do.
Right.
You know, that doesn't necessarily
doesn't
work
go well.
well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so when those things happen, you know, we had the problems and we were doing it the wrong way. And then we ran into that group in Maryland that was doing the Smart Step family. And we realized the right way to do things is to discuss things outside of the children, but the biological parent delivers the rules and sets the consequences, but they also pass off power to the step parent. And what that looks like is kind of like when you have a babysitter coming in. And they're like, the babysitter's in charge. These are the rules. You're going to bed at this time. You've got this. These are the things that are going to happen. And so then the babysitter can enforce it. Or
Yeah.
like, you know, you go to school, the teacher's in charge. You know, you're passing the power to the teacher or the coach or whatever.
Yeah.
As you go along in your relationship building, you go from, you know, the babysitter level to the uncle aunt level.
In
you know,
relationship.
In relationship. And as you
Yeah.
progress into those levels, then you have more authority because the children will listen to you more.
I'm thinking of connection before correction.
That's
Absolutely.
great.
And that's key.
That's perfect. I love that. So is there ever a point that the step parent can step in or should step in? I mean, like, I'm thinking if you're there, you know, and dad's out and you need to deal with something, like how do you navigate that?
Well, I think preferably they will have had a discussion with the children that when, you know, stepmom's here, then she has authority. You're putting them in the front seat so that they can drive.
When they need to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And one of the issues with that, when the step parent is being the only parent in the house, is there are certain house rules that you have that you enforce those, but at the same time, you don't have the complete, you know, full disciplinary, like you're grounded for a week or whatever kind of thing, or what, unless that's been talked about and, you know, it's already, you know, displayed throughout the whole kids and everything. And that's one of the things where we, you know, to go back a little bit about where the wheels fell off for us is I didn't do a good job of passing authority and understanding that portion. And also when we were together, of trying to talk about and do discipline when things were being difficult. You know, you have children that have difficulty in listening, and the parent is working in that situation. And as a step parent, you need to step back, be an observer. Maybe you call a timeout, bring the biological parent to a private place and have a conversation like, hey, this is you're kind of going off or whatever. And then they could come back. But you don't just interject yourself and say, hey, you know, that's one thing that I made a mistake on early on with that, was interject and go, hey, you're being disrespectful, get to your room or whatever, and be in the disciplinary when I shouldn't have been. And then the other aspect is for us, it's dealing with the complexities of parenting across homes where there are different rules and different expectations in another household. So my children would go to their moms with and we're trying to work here, but yet, Jackie's children went to their dad's with different sets of rules. We had different custody schedules and whatnot, and dealing with the schedules and the rules between households and the navigating when the transitions happen. And I mean, one thing that we didn't touch on is like when kids transition into the home,
Yes.
it's kind of like, you're a citizen of two different nations.
Mhm.
And when you're coming into the household, it's imagine going into a place where you don't speak the language and you're getting accustomed to that area or whatever. And it's going to take time, and you have to have that patience with that child going, hey, the behavior is not necessarily related to disrespect or whatever.
No.
They're just transitioning
Yeah.
and decompressing of whatever happened. Maybe they didn't sleep good at the other household and they're coming in and
You
or
just don't know. I
it's
feel
just-
like we've been saying give it time a lot
Mhm.
and give it space.
Yeah.
And when you're dealing with routines or rules or, those things that you want to impact
Mhm.
and you want to have calm in your home,
Yeah.
you just have to remember and step back
Yeah.
as the step parent. And the biological parent needs to step up. And kids are resilient. They're going to understand if you say, wait a minute, like Jim just said, time out.
Yes.
Like that was a skill that we had to learn.
Yeah.
Time out.
Time out.
I needed a lot more timeouts
Yeah.
than I gave and that I called. And
That's just across the board.
exactly
A great parenting tip is I mean, I call timeouts. I mean, when things start getting heightened, it's like, you know what? We need a break. Let's just take a minute.
That's
Both of
right.
us need to calm down. But I feel like that's such a great tool for,
yes.
I mean, all of us really.
absolutely. Yeah.
Because, when you're talking about, traditional parenting with your
Yes.
biological children, you can call time out and then you come back and then your relationship is refreshed,
Mhm.
renewed. You love each other.
Yeah.
You're connected,
Maybe.
right?
Yeah. Hopefully.
Well, there's a lot more forgiveness in
Yes,
those
yes,
relationships
yes.
than in the step relationship. So it's going to take more time.
Correct.
It's going to take a softer approach.
Yeah.
But
And
but
a
yeah,
lot
the
more
same
grace on
approach.
everybody's end.
Yeah.
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 So how do you help, like talking about that transition? It just made me start processing like it is a lot on kids. I mean, and yes, kids are resilient, but again, you're just throwing schedules up in the air. You're throwing, I mean, it's a lot. That's a lot. So how did you help them navigate? How would you suggest helping them navigate that? Like just the grief or the change or the divided schedules?
Well, I think you need to give grace.
Yeah.
And understanding and time. And that was the biggest thing in our transitions
I
was
think
understanding.
I think also learning your child well of
Yep.
what they need.
It's
Because
great.
some people are go. I could go and I'd love it and I'm ready to go and let's go out the door and let's get together with my friends. And other people are, I need some downtime. I don't. So if you have one child that's a go, maybe they will have, ready for a sleepover and have their friends over. Whereas the other child needs the downtime, well, you're not going to schedule like a movie night and game night on their transition time.
Right.
You're just going to give them space and let them acclimate basically and have their adjustment period.
Yeah.
And you have to realize during those transition times also, there may be behavioral issues happening where it's not necessarily them being disrespectful and having those issues and giving that grace of going, okay, let's try to emotionally coach the children
That's
through
great.
what's happening.
That's what just came to my mind.
Yeah,
Yep.
you have to see, and children don't have language for emotions
No.
necessarily. And I know as an adult, I took a long time to
Yeah.
even discover it for myself.
Yes.
There are these emotion wheel things
Yep.
out there you could get on the internet and download and print out, and it helps you identify, the big emotion and narrow it down
Yep.
to some tinier emotions. And that is definitely one of those keys where, you help, it seems like you're really upset about something. I know you're really sad about having to leave your dad's house, your mom's house, or, but,
That
we're here now.
compassion that he's saying right now
Yeah.
is so powerful
Yeah.
to say, I know you're missing your mom right now on this day that means a lot to her. Or I know that, you want to see your dad on this traditional holiday, the compassion for their going back and forth and for their lack of control,
Yeah.
which is what you were saying.
Yeah.
It's really huge, and it's
Yeah.
hard when you're in the midst of all the emotions of your
Yes.
own transition and your own feelings. So
Yeah.
And that right there is key also with the step parent. If the step parent could actually connect and relate that emotion, it seems like you're missing this or you're upset about this. I'm sorry. You're, you
Yeah.
know, how can I help you
Yeah.
on that kind of moment? That helps also bond.
Yes.
You know, if you can relate and have that meet them where they are,
Yeah.
you know, and have that understanding, like, I'm not trying to replace your other parent.
Yeah.
You miss your parent.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like that relieves that tension in a kid. You know, I feel like that's a really good tool.
Yes.
I think.
and to say it might seem awkward.
Yeah.
But it's powerful.
Yeah, it is. It is. How do you think, let's change gears a little bit. How can churches do a better job supporting blended families?
Mhm. I think we focus a lot in the church on traditional families.
Yes.
And blended is now more so
Mhm.
than traditional families. And so we just need to be aware of the messaging around that. I think is kind of a simple thing that we can do as, church members, and that churches can do, is to just open it up so that they understand on Mother's Day. It's also Stepmother's
Yeah.
Day and Adoptive Mother's Day. And, because the mom might be sitting there and just wondering, do I get up or not? They may not
Yeah.
even have their own biological children,
Mhm.
but they're a stepmom. And so, but that's
And,
kind
and
of
that
a
could
surface.
definitely lead to an awkward situation
Yeah.
where there's the, you know, what message, if they're sitting with their stepchild, and it's like, what message am I delivering to the stepchild if I stand up or if I don't stand up?
Yeah, it's so
You know,
complex.
You know,
Yeah.
so
And-
I mean, just even acknowledging from the stage on those kinds of moments to say, hey, if you're a stepmom, you know, go ahead,
Yep.
stand up, and just give them permission to stand up
Yeah.
versus living in that tension, but also knowing that there's all these added complexities within a blended family that that traditional nuclear families don't face.
Mhm.
That when you give advice, you know, you have to give blended family advice, you know, to blended families,
Mhm.
because they need those solutions and not the typical solutions.
Yeah.
And so just awareness of, even among the staff within, you know, the kids ministry and the teen youth ministry and whatnot, to be able to go, hey, I'm seeing this child come every other week, you know, maybe, you know, just those little things of if you're doing a weekly, like, hey, here's our weekly memory verse, and then you give a prize if they you know, can repeat it late, you know, the following week. Well, if the kids come in every other
Right.
week, they're going to miss out on the prize.
Custody
Yeah.
issues
And that
kind of
impact
thing.
that.
So just having an awareness of what are the needs between that, and knowing that there is that complexity, to have that compassion, to have it spoken openly
Mhm.
about, because some people, you know, they have that that guilt and shame kind of feeling coming into church, going, you know, I've been divorced and remarried, you know,
Mhm.
the
Scarlet letter
the-
or
Yeah.
whatever.
yeah,
you know?
they have that, yeah, divorced and remarried kind of feeling, like, oh, I look around, I wish I was like that. I wish,
Mm.
you know, I had this, and not dealing with that. And, you know,
And
do
really,
I
it is
do
the new
and,
normal. So
you
Yeah.
know, and it's
Yeah.
like,
figure out.
then you get into the, well, was I biblically divorced or not? Am I allowed to remarry? And
Yeah.
what's that? Those kinds of feelings. And if you do remarry, and then some people say, no, you weren't biblical, and it's like, well, where are you at right now?
Yeah.
Kind
I
of
think-
thing. And you, without having the, you know, it's okay to talk about it, and you're not necessarily endorsing divorce or that kind
Right.
of thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just one of those things where, yeah,
I think
a lot of compassion.
awareness is a really big thing right now that we are trying to impact here in Myrtle Beach.
Mhm.
Because I've called a lot of pastors in the area, and I've had pastors say, we don't have blended families in our church. And it's because the blended families will maybe hide
Mm.
and thinking they're not normal.
Oh.
And really, there are a lot of blended, probably 40 or more % of our
Mhm.
church is blended.
Yeah.
And so we have to, not just provide awareness to pastors and leave it open so that people can come forward. But I think people finding community has been really huge. It was huge for us. to be able to connect and hear other people saying, like the things we're saying right now,
Yeah.
it's okay, it's normal,
Yeah.
try this, you can try it again.
Yeah.
You
You're
can
not alone.
reset. You're
Yeah.
not alone. You're
Right.
really not.
And
And then,
what you're going through is common.
Yes, yes.
Mhm.
And then obviously there's resources.
Yeah.
There are studies. We do virtual studies. We do in-person studies. We suggest that a church have a blended study so that people can join that community and receive that, that connection,
And-
receive that advice.
And the other thing, like we had the premarital counseling, but if you incorporated blended issues into that premarital counseling for those families, that would hedge off a lot of problems, at least prepare them to handle the problems that they will face. You know, that's it's not that the problems aren't going to be there. It's just preparing them to know, this is how you handle it, and to be well supported so that you can lead your family well, stay committed in your marriage, and basically be on the Great Commission.
Yeah.
Instead of focusing on putting out all the fires of your family and making, the blaze go higher and higher.
And there is a resource that we can point pastors to who do counseling like that called Preparing to Blend.
Yeah.
And couples can also use that resource on their own as well.
That's great. So how do you know, we were talking about just kind of the struggles. How do you know when the challenges that you're facing are they're outside the scope of normal? Like, how do you know when you need help? Like when you need additional support, you need to maybe go into counseling. Like what are some warning signs that you need a little more?
So we definitely suggest a group, community, and
that's for everybody.
Time together.
That's for
Right,
everybody,
for
yeah.
everybody. But the issues sometimes escalate, and they just kind of seem to continue to escalate, and you might need help.
Yeah.
Of course, if there's violence or, if children are experiencing, rage or there's aggression or, there are those kinds of counseling, awareness.
Right. There are
kind of
certain emotional issues that people go through that, it's great to go get your counseling. If there's children that are really deeply depressed, that's so common. Let's get them counseling. You're depressed, let's get counseling. There is nothing wrong with that. That is fantastic. There's a need for it, and there is faith and counseling that work hand in hand.
So I mean, my background is I worked in the counseling field, and so I'm always like, well, we go to the doctor to get checked out. So why, if you had something that was consistently wrong, why wouldn't you just go talk to somebody and say, hey, are there any tools that I'm missing? Or so I always think it's a great idea.
I think, full transparency, I've been through a lot of counseling myself, counseling with my children. I had the summer that was completely terrible where I went through counseling with both of my children, where we were trying to resolve problems and all the issues that they had anger about and misunderstandings and rightfully identified issues, so that I could take ownership of what I did wrong and set things correct. And we spent 12 weeks in all summer long of that wasn't on my highlight of how I want to spend my summer, but let me tell you that it was worth it, and I don't regret doing it. And I highly recommend anyone that needs any kind of resolution, even conflict resolution, let's go bring it into a professional that knows how to really guide you through and handle conflict.
That's great. I think there's still, for some reason, sometimes a stigma about it, and it's just, I'm always like, hey, you go to the doctor. These are people that are experts in this, so go for it.
And the other thing, I think this is related, but not exactly the same, but we talk about Weekend to Remember and refreshing, renewing, enjoying your marriage. It's kind of like similar to that, but it's more of a maintenance. You change the oil on your car, so find maintenance for your marriage. And, change the oil.
That's great. Because sometimes even those just getting out of your rhythm, even if you're doing a weekly date night, something out of your rhythm is it's a great resource too. So what do you think, if you were to think of one thing, what is one thing you think every blended family should stop doing?
I think comparing themselves to traditional families, or bionuclear, I guess is the official term.
Stop the pressure.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
what I say. I mean, if you gotta be patient and stop pressuring things to form and blend a family. You have to slow down the pace and just be calm about it and let it happen as it goes along.
Step back.
But when you when you put forth all that pressure on there, you're causing stress, and people don't behave the best in stress.
And
so
that it
you
made me
gotta do-
think of the step back, but don't step out.
yes,
Because an awful lot of people will give up.
Yeah.
And stepping back, and I'm starting a study about get out of your head.
Mm-hmm.
I think by Jenny Allen.
I actually am currently reading that book.
You are really?
Yes.
Well, she does a Bible study too in
Yes.
Philippians,
Yes.
which doesn't go along with the book
Yeah.
necessarily, but it's a little more biblical and
Yeah.
gives you a little more,
Yeah.
background on that. And I just can't wait.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear more about that offline, but it's just in your head. Sometimes you need to go somewhere that you're not stepping out. You're just managing your own emotions and your own thoughts, because we have control of our thoughts, right?
Well, I go back to the idea that you were saying earlier of a crock pot versus a pressure cooker. You know, I
Mhm.
mean, I feel like the slow and the steady and the, the slow and you think of like the turtle, it's just a slow progress and slow grace and slow and versus just it needs to happen, just the pressure of it on yourself or on your family or on
Absolutely,
your kids. I love that.
yeah. I mean, from my standpoint, I had this at the beginning. I had this idea that we're a family, and I think families should support one another. And when the kids go to a soccer game, that we as a family go and we support them. You have a play, we as a family go and support them. Well, as a blended family, it's okay for the biological family to go do their thing, and the other biological family go do their thing. You don't have to be in each other's space all the time and force it. And that's kind of what I was doing, was kind of trying to force the family. That was a major mistake on my part.
We thought it was the right way.
Yeah.
But sometimes you just have to compartmentalize.
Mm-hmm.
You find your time as a family, you take your time and you try to blend, but yet sometimes you just need to be that original bio family.
Well, and I feel like it's also not compare, like I'm just thinking as you're talking, and I feel like it's not like, we don't compare our families to others. And I feel like I'm sure so true for blended families, because I'm sure what may have worked for you in that may not work for somebody else. So I feel like just finding your own rhythm and what is working, and it's a lot of trial and error, and that's okay.
It is, absolutely. I fully agree with that, where there is, what works in one step family may not work in another step family. So you have to find what works, but it's okay to try different things and to not force it all to fit into, it's a unique puzzle.
Yeah,
that you need to put together, and you can't force the pieces in.
That's great.
And there are a lot of myths out there too. And the one that's just coming to me now is when people say, just love them like your own kids. You're going to love them like your own kids, or you have to love them like your own kids.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, my own kids are my own kids. Like, I can't.
Yeah.
I need to love them. I need to respect them. I need to, help them. I need to support them and pray for them. But there's not necessarily that same connection.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it's impossible.
Right.
But if you're not feeling that way, then give yourself that grace and just know that it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So what do you think? We talked about one thing that every blended family should stop doing. What is something that every blended family should start doing?
Start doing.
I feel like we touched on a lot of those
You
things
did.
of just slowing down.
Yep.
That's and being consistent.
That's good.
I think consistency is key, because when you're consistent, you may not see the results that are happening within the children, but the children are seeing your consistency in your marriage, your consistency with the rules, and eventually they're going to see, oh, you provided the safe household, you provided the consequences, you provided the love and support. And maybe as an adult, they'll actually thank you for it. And that is like the, a golden nugget of like, wow, they appreciate it. They saw all that years of toil and trouble that we went through. So be consistent.
Yeah.
You will be redeemed.
Yeah. I mean,
you will come to a point where you will see things will be revealed. you'll feel the love, and it's that hope in
Mhm.
knowing that
And
it's there.
Yeah.
God's in the redeeming business, so
He is.
he's writing a
Mhm.
story of redemption
Yes, he
Redemption
is.
and
story.
all of that blended family issues.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Well, in all of us. I mean,
In
that's
all of us,
great.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's a testimony to his goodness.
It is. So if you've got a family, if we have a family listening today, as we start to wind down and they're feeling overwhelmed or discouraged or just uncertain, what is encouragement that you would leave them with?
I think find community,
Mhm.
because we do isolate, and redemption. I mean, God's working; He's not done yet.
Yeah. That's great.
And the one thing you mentioned about isolate, let's not isolate because the devil prowls around and if you look at any kind of wildlife video, you see that the lions pick off the weak one that moves off, and then they have their way with that. And that is kind of in the isolation. You don't want to be isolated. You want to be in with community and be open and transparent about what's happening so that other people can pour into you and encourage you along the way.
Yeah.
Because having that encouragement really, you need other people pouring into you
That's
to
great.
build you up, because God tells us to use our words to build others up. So let's build each other up and encourage others to press forward, press on. We have a great cloud of witnesses cheering us on. So let's press on and keep going.
Well, that's great. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us today. That was great. It was a lot of really good information and nuggets for all parents, really. So I appreciate it. And thank you guys for joining us for this episode of Ocean Views Podcast. We will include information in the description about the Weekend to Remember coming up here in Myrtle Beach, as well as just some of the resources that the Vegh shared with us. So thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time.